Welcome to Vice and Easy, your podcast for all things Miami Vice, with your host, Marina. Hello, and welcome back to Vice and Easy. Once again, just want to say thank you for understanding and patience. I am hopefully done with all the technical issues I've been having. A lot of it is just taking time to think like, okay, how can I do something that I've been doing for so long more efficiently? And I don't want to make excuses, but I almost wanted to rip my hair out dealing with Imager. Then I kind of looked into it and they don't let you upload more than 50 pictures at once. And I was usually doing like 75. And so I had 2 weeks back to back where my galleries got deleted twice. And I just, table flip, I was out of there. So now, and just kind of like taking stock of like, no, this is an easy problem you can fix. My computer, same thing. I don't want to make excuses. It's just now I got to take time and be like, okay, you know what? You have a problem and now you will find a solution. I wish I had more interesting things to update you guys on, but that is it for now. But this episode and the end of season 4 is getting quite interesting. Ebbs and flows, if you will. And I'm really excited and I'm also a little bit sad to go into season 5. This is it. And I wonder if maybe like I'm procrastinating that a little bit because I think it'll be really hard for me to say goodbye, or I'm not sure. It's just like that's a big chunk of my life and I'm happy. I'm super proud of it. It's just now that I can see the ending in the rearview mirror, it's all becoming a little real. So let's see. But first, let's get to some guest stars and some more Italian stereotypes with this week's episode, Blood and Roses, Season 4, Episode 19. Per IMDb, the synopsis is as follows. Gina becomes a little too close to mobster Frank Mosca in an attempt to take him down. And in true Miami Vice fashion, we open up at a house party. Beautiful, glitzy, glamorous house party. Why, the valets, they're young, beautiful women in pink chucks, as you can see in the gallery. Crockett and Tubbs, however, were not invited. But Gina, unfortunately, wearing possibly the worst dress I've seen her wear on this series so far. She has a great figure, and she is hunkered into this bridesmaid's dress. I do not know what or why, but again, this was the 80s, so let's just go with it. Her lipstick is really cute. The frosted pink I really like, and the diamante or maybe diamond leaf earrings I really like. But this dress is just hiding that beautiful figure. Doesn't suit her. Ruched in all the wrong places. But, however, she does have an admirer.
Talented. Endowed with talent.
You can see her brush his arm off.
What?
It's an eccentricity of mine. I don't like to be pawed at cocktail parties.
And while Gina is unfortunately dealing with that, another man comes into the picture, surprising Crockett and Tubbs and Gina.
Gina, this is Frank.
Mosca. Yes, I've read about you in the papers.
Oh, really?
Now, Gina is completely charmed. Her cover story is that her family is originally from South Philly, and that's who she's able to, shoot with Mosca. And turns out, the world is small. There may be something there. They definitely look besotted with each other. And again, I cannot get over his whole fit. This whole Frank Mosca vibe I am here for. I know that mob wife summer was coming back, but bring back mob boss summer as well. Now, the guy that was well endowed with talent, Cook, turns out that he is kind of in business with Mosca, but it's complicated. Back at the precinct after the cold open, Gina looks very refreshed. She looks great. She's wearing this coral pink suit. Really suits her. Crockett and Tubbs also looking great. Crockett looking really good in a light, kind of like a heather gray and white combination, as Gina kind of runs down what she learned the night of the party. She can definitely tell that pasta is Cook's cover. She doesn't want to work with him because she feels that he won't put any information out there if she doesn't put out. And to quote her, she would rather eat glass. But she brings up Mosca, a much bigger fish to fry. Crockett can't do it. Crockett already has a relationship with him. Remember the whole jail thing and contempt of court, season 4, episode 1? So Gina is actually the ideal candidate to go undercover. And, well, she looks quite happy to do so. She looks quite happy taking the call from Mosca, who got her number from Cook. This also appears to be her office phone. I have not looked at her desk closely in quite a while. She must have multiple phones because otherwise, you'd be like, oh, Detective Gina Calabresi. No. She has to have like a cover phone. I'm assuming that was the protocol at the time. I don't know why I brought that up. That's pretty hopefully obvious. But let's get back to Mosca and Cook doing business because it is not looking good. Cook is sweating. Cook is freaking out. Cook has to give his keys up to Mosca. It's not looking great. Sonny is a little bit concerned. Obviously, she knows what he is capable of, but she feels she has a handle on him. And you can already tell in this episode, why is Sonny concerned? Is it jealousy? Is it just being that guy that pops into a woman's life as soon as she's about to move on? Is it actually being concerned for her as a coworker? Let's get to that a little bit later. But let's meet Mosca because he is quite charming.
Ex-wife get all the furniture?
Yeah, and I got all the good looks. Nah, nothing like that. I move around a lot. You know how it is.
Yeah, I know. So you want some decorating advice or what?
Yeah, sure, if you're free tonight.
I can make myself be.
Terrific. Well, how about you come take a look, and then maybe we could have a little dinner. What do you say?
Manicotti and a bottle of Dago Red, right?
Yeah, anything you want, baby.
So it's a date? Well, before that, Crockett and Tubbs are going to go visit Cook at the pasta factory. No warrant, and they're just trying to get info. And the way they're trying to get the info is by threatening to get him if they can't get to Mosca. Reminder that Cook is already feeling the heat. So let's see what happens. Let's go visit Gina and her date, quote unquote, or her decorating appointment with Mosca. Again, this dress is cute. I think the collar could have been a little bit richer to kind of like set off her features. I do like the earrings and the necklace, and I love the idea of like wearing a strapless fitted dress to go interior design some guy's house. Like obviously it's a date, but they don't want to say it. It is really cute. There are flowers, there's wine, there's romance. And then he does bring up Cook and asks, what's going on with them. She obviously, minimizes the situation, but he does say that he does really like her and he doesn't like to share. Oh, and let's check back in with Crockett and see how he approaches Gina in this next clip.
How'd your date go?
Date? That's supposed to be funny?
Gina, come on.
No, you come on, Sonny. We work undercover here. That's what you do, that's what I do, that's what I'm gonna do.
I am 100% Team Gina on this because Sonny knew exactly what he was doing. Also, may I just remind you, Sonny, you have a wife. Remember? Crockett and Tubbs are now gonna go visit Cook. They get to the house. No one's there. They scope him out. They get a little bit nervous as they get to the pool. Tubbs locks eyes in the pool, looks a little bit forlorn when Crockett comes in, and they see Cook in a floaty strangled with a bowl of pasta on his lap. And how do you respond to that?
Cook. Definitely not al dente.
Hey.
Hey, thanks for the cannoli.
All right, Italian stereotypes aside, let's get back to reality and back to the plot. At OCB, we are meeting up with the feds because we have a familiar face, Meg Foster. We remember her from episode 1, season 4, dealing with Frank Mosca again. I put the lawyer DA question mark with husky eyes. That is not correct. And I mean husky as a compliment just because they're like piercing ice blue eyes. And I remember I said this back in the season opener. She is the prototype for the Law and Order female lead character. And I'm just thinking specifically about that one DA with the beautiful ice blue eyes. Very similar. Now, again, and they bring up our favorite acronym, RICO, not talking about Tubbs, haha. And they want to coordinate inside men to get closer. They need more weight to get federal charges and to get those federal charges to stick. And as they're kind of going back and forth, they already say that they have an inside man, and that's Gina. And Castillo is confident that she can get the job done.
Well, after the same thing here. I'd like to get him up on charges again, and the government just needs enough to put some federal weight behind it. Any state and local charges just serve to sharpen the blade.
I just don't want to have to worry about what the left hand is doing.
Fine. How about the left hand stays out of your way, as long as there's an open exchange of information?
Only if you guarantee me there'll be no movement on Mosca. Will I share what I'm getting?
You got it.
Now, before we get back to Mosca, let's check in with Gina. Sunny pops by. In my notes, I wrote, how convenient. Compliments her dress, wants to talk about Mosca. I did notice the great lighting. Then they get very friendly and intimate, starting not only with him attaching or securing the clasps to her necklace, but then embracing prom style and then kissing each other on the lips. Bro, you have a wife.
Just don't want you to do anything reckless. You hear me?
Well, thank you, Mr. Level-Headed. Okay, Sonny. I do appreciate your concern as a cop.
Well, I'm just sorry. I never meant to doubt your abilities.
You better not have, or else I would have broken your thumbs. I gotta go to work.
Yeah, they kiss on the lips, and like that really shocked me. I do not remember that vividly. I was like, okay, wow. If Caitlin was in the room with you, would this be going on? I understand she's on tour and a woman that you liked and didn't commit to is moving on, even though it's for work. She's still moving on from you. Therefore, let me try to kind of like sneak in there. I do believe that Sunny is looking out for her as a coworker, especially knowing how connected this businessman is, a legitimate businessman. But this scene is wild. Again, go to the gallery and you can see all the PDA between these two. Now let's go back in time. We don't do this like we used to. We're at a restaurant, big corner table, lots of really big, bold fashion choices, which I really love. I am just going to point out the couple sitting next to Mosca on Mosca's left. You can see in the picture underneath, you can see him really clearly. It's a really nice suit, nice tie, not too garish. Cigarette in his hand, unfortunately, is a little bit cut out because, there's nothing like smoking on top of everybody's pasta dinner. And I love her earrings and her snakeskin-esque, I'm assuming it's fake snakeskin. Say that 10 times fast. Blazer, just looking like $1 million. And again, they're just hamming it up, having fun. And then our guy to the left tries to bring down the party by talking about Cook. That's yesterday's news.
You hear the bad news about Cook?
Yeah, it's a shame, The random violence in this town is... Let's hope it never touches any of us, right?
Nothing like whacking somebody you're doing complicated business with and then popping open a bottle of champagne afterwards. Now, let's get back to Gina and Mosca. Things start cute in the limo. And I looked it up, and No Way Out premiered August 1987, whereas this episode came out April of 1988. So I was like, oh, maybe they were trying to borrow a little bit from No Way Out. Great movie if you have not seen it. And they're getting like a little bit handsy in the limo. She kind of tries to cool it down, and she brings up the fact that she thought he was a family man. But then, of course, in stereotypical Italian-American tradition, this is what he means by family.
Hey.
What?
I thought you were a family man.
No. When he said family, he didn't mean, like family, like mother, father, sister,
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Really?
Oh, really?
All right, so this scene, just warning, this is not a great scene. They're coming back to Mosca's from the limo. They're drunk, they're flirty. They start dancing to Sweetest Thing when they start talking about redecorating the bedroom.
Made of wood, you might not seem glad.
Let's go redecorate the bedroom.
No.
Yeah, and the scene just gets way more unpleasant as she's saying no and telling him to stop. And it's a really unpleasant scene. I really did not enjoy it. But let's cut to the morning. Mosca is outside of his house, ? With a bunch of flowers on stands. At first I thought they were at like a very fancy flower stand, and then I realized that kind of sounded dumb. I'm assuming that maybe someone brought these flowers for him to choose. Again, I couldn't really tell. A few have been arranged into bouquets, but a lot of them look like they're just there to therefore then be arranged into a bouquet. Maybe I'm spending a little bit too much time talking about this. Again, the feds, they kind of know what's up, and they want Mosca to know that they know what's up.
You may be willing to say off Willie Cook.
Well, I don't know anything about this stuff, because I'm very bad at math,
Of course.
But if you ever need any flowers or anything, just give me a call. Let me know for a funeral or something.
I just like the way that he ends that. As in, yeah, I killed Cook, but you're not gonna be able to link me to it. I thought that was funny. And then, remember, there's the strong but silent guy, the other Fed, the taller one. He points right at him at the end of the scene. And this guy, as you can see in the visual aids, looks a little bit perplexed. I will say I really love Mosca's sunglasses in this scene. Very, very 80s mobster energy. This is exactly what I need. Now let's check back in at the precinct with Gina, who is recounting what she knows and what she found out from Mosca on their night out.
I don't think he would have talked if I was drinking Perrier. Look, 8 to 5, he killed Cook. It was the beginning of a war between Mosca and Jimmy Roth.
He's laundering money now?
Kept talking about banks in lots of cities.
What's also really unsettling about this scene is that Gina looks super distraught. She looks really upset. Sonny can tell. Again, I'm not sure if I'm liking the gray undershirt with this getup because it's a lighter colored jacket. I liked it reversed when it was gray and white. I don't know why. I just think it like sets off his features more, like his coloring more. So after that, after she kind of lets them know what she got from Mosca, she and Trudy stay afterwards and have a heart-to-heart because Trudy knows that something's going on.
Trudy. I can't believe what I've done. I mean, I should never have let it go that far.
Oh, honey. We all make mistakes behind champagne.
No, it wasn't that. I know he's bad news. But it was something about him. And I can't explain it.
Okay. It's like forbidden fruit or hormones or hell, we're just women, okay? We make bad choices. Don't you blame yourself. You're a good person, Gina. You just think about what you gotta do now. Okay?
It's a really sweet scene between them, and Gina doesn't really have a lot of people to tell. Trudy's the only one that she can really be honest about with what's going on, who will understand her, someone who's been in her position before. It's very different, the optics of undercover and going too far undercover, and then with the issue of the really iffy lack of consent and how it all went down. It'd be a lot different if it were to happen to Sonny, and it would be perceived a lot differently. So I'm really glad that she has Trudy there with her in that scene. Let's just go way off course. Remember our tall guy, the Fed? Turns out he's Mosca's snitch, and he's being hoisted up by a forklift in a factory of some kind. Maybe it's the same pasta factory. Oh my God, I keep saying that differently. I keep saying the A's differently every time I say it. Pasta factory. That'll be a fun little blooper. You can laugh at me all you like.
For the love of God, Frank!
That's for using the Lord's name in vain.
Oscar, there's a vice cop close to you.
Recently?
Last couple of days.
Who?
I don't know, Frank.
Why didn't you tell me?
I didn't know which way to go, Frank. I'd be dead.
You got that right.
And right there in that scene, Mosca looks over to Frank Stallone, his goon, and gives him like the okay with his eyes. And that's the end of him. So, hey, Mosca kept true to his word. Well, let's check back in with Gina. She's at home I really like the matching seafoam green robe and the paint behind. It looks like a different apartment than last time. Maybe it's just a different angle. Also, remember, I do love that blue silk robe that she had previously when we got like more shots of her apartment. Mosca calls to apologize. He sent her flowers. My notes are not the greatest, so let me just play this scene for you.
I'm sorry about last night. I acted incorrectly. And
I'm not going to defend myself for what I did, because it was a lousy thing to do.
I only did it because
You make things happen inside of me I can't control.
Fucking thing sucks!
Frank, I don't know what to say. I mean, I have to think about this. Last night, it wasn't the way I wanted things to go. You know.
No, I know.
me neither, but I just want to tell you I'm sorry. And
if you forgive me, I would like to see you again.
You mean that?
I mean that with all my heart. If you don't want to see me, I mean...
I didn't say that.
Okay, good. So what are you doing right now?
Now?
Yeah.
Falling into a hot bath.
Oh, that's perfect.
I'll send Billy for you.
As much as that conversation really got under my skin and it like really brought back very unpleasant memories of this happening, the juxtaposition of finding out that Frank Stallone's character is Billy, or realizing, I guess I had it in my notes, I was like, Billy? This does not look like a Billy. This is not a Billy. You have this man with the perfectly coiffed hair, the silver aviators, with the reflective lenses, smoking a cigarette with a gold pinky ring, working for a mob boss. This is not a Billy. But let's cut to dinner. Frank is taking Gina out, and this dress, again, does nothing for her. It's a cute color, but it doesn't suit her the way that she deserves. They're out with another couple, an older couple, the Ross from Detroit. Obviously, an old family friend, used to work with Frank's father. You know how it goes.
The clean living.
Clean money.
They cheers to his father. They chit-chat. You can see in the gallery, there's smoke wafting over the pasta dishes again. Then, as the night comes to an end, Frank and Gina are walking out of the restaurant. Now, I noted this before. I was like, why is the key stand for the valet just open right next to the door of the restaurant? That is never, maybe, but like, number one, safety. You could just take someone's keys, boom, boom. I know maybe back in the day it was a little bit harder to track the cars. You couldn't just beep your way through the parking lot. But still, if they're all parked in the same spot, you can tell, okay, these Mercedes keys, let me just try every Mercedes. So number one, that would just be a huge liability. Number two, it's just very ugly looking. It doesn't invite anybody in. At least the valet stand usually has a sign. You have someone greeting you. To have a guy just standing next to a bunch of keys, I'd be like, no, it's okay. I'm going to park my own car. But when you see how the scene progresses, then it makes sense. So as Frank and Gina are walking out of the restaurant, we see a masked gunman shoot at them from a black Camaro. Luckily, Gina is protected. You got a goon and you have Frank shielding her from any gunfire. But this is when I'm telling you to go to the gallery. You can see in the GIF that the valet key stand gets blown way up with bullets and lights up. I'm like, oh, maybe that was it, just to have that for the scene, because like now it makes a little bit more sense. Luckily, Gina's okay. Everyone's okay. Just very shaken up when Crockett obviously gets the news that there's been a shooting. He wants to go check on Gina. Tubbs, voice of reason, argues against it.
Damn it, I gotta go over and see if she's all right.
Sonny, I don't think you should do it. You're gonna cause more harm than good. She's already been attended to.
I won't blow her cover.
Crockett, you married somebody else who is still alive and touring during the timeline of this episode. He goes over to the officer on scene, kind of rudely asks for the report. Let me see if I have a clip. I don't have it. But yeah, it was just like kind of very curt and I thought a little bit rude. Like, show me your report. Relax. Like, they've been on scene. They've been doing all the work. Don't just like come here and do that. And then, you know, he does capture Mosca's attention, which was the whole point in this next scene.
Jason, ambulances now, Crockett?
Oh, I heard you were hit, Mosca. I was gonna come over here and pass out cigars.
We had a little disagreement once.
Too bad it was only superficial.
Yeah. You know, you ought to earn your $4 1/4 a week and go and roust Roth. He's the animal that put all this down.
Frank, I gotta go home.
Okay, baby. I'll take you home.
Frankie, don't slip.
Gina cuts this conversation short by saying that she wants to go home. Then Castillo, back at OCB, parrots what Tubbs said, that Crockett shouldn't have done it, that he could have blown her cover. And then at OCB, they're talking about what could be going wrong. Gina has been out of touch for 10 hours. You have differing sides, you know, like we've all been undercover. Some it's hard to get away. I'm really worried about her. It's been a while. So let's check back in with her a bit. However, remember that black Camaro I mentioned? Why? Wasn't it Frank Stallone who was the shooter trying to set Roth up? Wow. Then he says that he should have whacked that chick cop. Woo! As tension is rising and they're worried, Gina quickly makes a call back to OCB.
Switek, OCB.
I think it was Roth who killed Cook, not Mosca.
Gina?
Hello?
Gina?
And tension's really running high in that scene because you can see that he's also opening up a cell phone, Mosca, as Gina is making the call to Switek from a cell phone. So he's definitely listening in. She does look like $1 million in this white blouse, cinched waist with a pink belt. And her lipstick color is kind of like almost a corally pink. It's really bright and it works so well on her. It's not quite the best dressed, but I really like the white and pink kind of like change up in this episode because we had some bad pink, we had some good white and pink, and then we got another wild one in there. We got the pink chucks. So just very interesting. She looks incredibly despondent as she goes on the patio and Mosca comes to talk to her.
I'm just not feeling well.
What's wrong?
I'm fine.
You sure?
Yes, I'm sure. You mind?
Do I mind what?
Not kissing me.
sorry. Come on, let's get out of here. We've been around here too long. Let's go for a drive.
No, I don't think that's a good idea.
No, come on, we'll go for a drive. We've been around here for too long.
Really
Come on, a nice long drive. It'll make you feel better. No, come on. I'll whisper nice things in your ear. I'll tell you about the Chicago Mosca. How we're gonna take over the Midwest seaboard.
And Gina knows that you never want to go to a second location. That usually it's trouble, and usually it means that death or injury or violence is imminent. Oof. Well, what she doesn't know is that back at the precinct, Roth was being questioned by the U.S. attorney, Crockett, and Tubbs, and Roth knows that Gina is a cop. So Mosca must know too. That's when Crockett and Tubbs speed off to go find Gina. And they head to Mosca's first, as Dangerous Game by our boy Tommy Shaw plays in the background. By the time they get to Mosca's house, they're gone, meaning Mosca and Gina. Our boy, Frank Stallone, is still there. He doesn't want to talk. Crockett, getting more and more agitated, literally wants to turn the heat up by putting his face close to the burner on the stove.
Rico, it's time to turn up the heat a little bit. You know, guys gotta be real careful down here in sunny Miami. Get badly burned. All right? The factory! Cook spaghetti factory, all right? Very nice, Billy. Very nice.
Let's just dive full-fledged into this Italian stereotype and go to the pasta factory where Gina and Mosca are not exactly having a good time. His eyes look a little bit warm till you see the wire in his hands. Him and Gina are not even facing each other directly. She knows exactly what's going to happen. Holding her hands in front of her chest. It's not looking good. Then, when she asks how long he's known about her, this is his response.
You knew about me the whole time?
No. Not until after I had you.
Wow. This clip is titled,
That's real nice, Frank. You're a real gentleman.
Oh, come on, Philly girl. It was pretty good. Anyway, right?
Fucking thing sucks!
And just as my blood is boiling, Crockett and Tubbs pop out. He basically tries to use Gina as a human shield and then just throws her onto like a cylinder. She falls down next to Tubbs as Crockett goes to chase her. Tubbs has an extra gun she can use as the chase goes on in the pasta factory. As they continue shooting out, there is an elevator dumbwaiter. I was really trying to find the proper terminology for this, and I have failed. However, it brings you up, you can go down. Hey, it works. So you have Mosca aiming his gun down as Crockett is trying to get up there. We see Gina go up the stairs. So right as Mosca is about to shoot Crockett, as he's coming up this dumbwaiter ladder, and he does shoot down, narrowly missing Crockett. As Gina has snuck up the stairs, she has a vantage point. Crockett is also on the same floor, and as she tells Mosca to freeze, she shoots him as she and Sonny exchange looks through the pasta factory. And that is the end of the episode. once again, Crockett involved in a shootout with a man who was involved with Gina. However, is once again, Gina is the one to pull the trigger. Whew. That episode I really liked for Stanley Tucci in the fashion, but that scene and the way he said that at the end, like, not till I had you, just really rubbed me the wrong way. So let's break down the episode and let's have some fun with it. Let's get started with some very mild, but some fun Vice tea. First off, apologies to Frank Stallone. Not only for not knowing that his character actually had a name, I just have him written down here as Goon. Till halfway through the recap, I also thought he had passed away. So when I was doing my research, I was somewhat surprised. So I do have Far From Over for one of my bartender competition training playlists. So that is a jam. Then apparently there's a documentary about him, which, no offense, I'm skipping that. He seems interesting, but not that interesting. Again, this I remember hearing back in the day, but getting that kind of reminded that he fought Geraldo Rivera and he won. So that is funny. I'm sure he has a lot of stories to tell. Also been on the soundtrack for some awesome movies because of his brother, like Over the Top. But the man who played Roth was also in Heat, which took me quite a little while to get that. His name is Paul Herman. And he used to own the Columbus Circle Cafe along with Mikhail Baryshnikov and other actors. And it was very much like a cultural, poetic meeting place that I thought was really interesting. Now, the guy who played Cook, Michael Wincott, I had just seen him a month ago in The Three Musketeers, the Charlie Sheen one, Avi. And I was like, oh, this guy looks familiar. And then I found out he was from Toronto. I was like, okay, let me go see his IMDb. So I recognized The Littlest Hobo. But then I was like, oh, wow, he's been in Born the 4th of July, The Doors, worked with Oliver Stone. Crime Story before Miami Vice. So that's some fun little Michael Mann casting. Then I found out about this show that maybe 4 of you will be interested in. I am now interested in it. It's called Night Heat. Apparently, it was the second ever Canadian produced and financed show that also subsequently would air at the same time in the States. Usually what happens is that they kind of run for a season or 2, then get picked up. But this was released at the same time. But okay, it's so funny in that how it got shafted. So it was produced in Canada. It was financed by the Canadian government in a partnership. And obviously the crew, the actors, Canadian. But they didn't want it to seem too Canadian, so they never named the city. They tried not to get any of the landmarks or anything that would make it too Canadian. Like how I remember seeing Home Hardware in Rainbow First Blood. I was like, whoa, wait, that's not the States. So things like that will take you out. But apparently they also had to change a lot of the verbiage and use American judicial terms and stating Miranda rights, which not a thing in Canada, things like that to take it away from being Canadian. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. It's something to be proud of that a Canadian show would be treated, I believe it got 3 or 4 seasons, if I remember correctly from my research, on American television, broadcasting at the same time. But however, anything that would make it Canadian would be erased and hidden. So that is very appropriate. But apparently Keanu Reeves was in the pilot, so I have to hunt this down. And one of the women, I recognized her name, was in Videodrome, I believe, and also on Street Legal, which again, this is my parents' stories, right? So that is the Vice I have for this episode. I did have Stanley Tucci tea on the previous episode that he was in, Contempt of Court, if you do want to hear that. Again, great guy. We love him. But, there was always a little bit of scandal in there. So if you want to hear that, just pop over to the old episode. But since I'm already shaking up the order of everything, let's go over music because I forgot to play the final scene, Winners and Losers by Iggy Pop. I forgot to play that music from the final scene.
This game, the
Now, I'm still going to give it to our boy Tommy Shaw for Dangerous Game, just because, like, the love is a dangerous game motif as Crockett is racing across town to save his ex-situationship from a gangster he has beef with, because she's undercover. It really ties it all together. And I did get an email from my Ultimate Classic Rock mailing list. Tommy Shaw was talking about Styx in the news. I did not read up on it, sorry. So usually I'm always up to date with my, classic rock, but I'm a little behind in the times. But that's definitely going to be my song for the episode, just because Sweetest Smile by Black being used in the scene where it gets really iffy between Mosca and Gina, just puts a really bad taste in my mouth. So I want to end the episode on a high note. Let's do quotes and fashion. Let's get down to fashion. Now, there are not a lot of people to mention, but there are a lot of outfits to mention. Best dressed man, obviously, is going to be Frank Mosca smoking his cigarillos, his clove cigarettes. I believe it's a cigarillo, not a clove cigarette. But he's inhaling, so I asked a lot of questions about this. Maybe it's just like he gets them wrapped especially, but I'm really loving this look. Best dressed woman is going to go to Gina's outfit with the white blazer, the white undershirt, the white cream belt, and the very soft peach skirt, just looking like $1,000,000 walking into the precinct. Worst dressed is also Gina's bridesmaid's dress that completely obscures her figure and does not work with her at all. She deserves better than this. And then this is a new one I've never done, but best dressed NPC, I guess would kind of be wild card, but usually wild card's like a little bit more wild. This is just fun to have the valets being young girls in pink Santa cummerbunds and Chucks parking all these fancy cars. I love it. Equal opportunity and having like really cute valets. I really like the theme of this party. Maybe that's why the girls had to wear pink to this party, but I see a woman here with a silver dress. There's more dresses. There's black dresses. So I do not know why Gina was subjected to this dress. Now, for the quote of the episode, it is really hard for me not to choose the obvious favorite.
Cook. Definitely not al dente.
Oh, is that just kind of me repeating the same thing with Contempt of Court with the cannoli thing? Am I just going for low-hanging fruit? Would this be my other quote of the episode?
The clean living.
Clean money.
Oh, man. I guess those are both stereotypical quotes. I guess I didn't do any. Oh, man. You know what? Let's just give it to Crockett.
Cook. Definitely not al dente.
And as with that, I just want to thank you all for tuning in to Vice and Easy. If you like what you hear, please subscribe on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts, and feel free to leave me a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. It helps other people find this show. Find me on all things social at Vice and Easy Podcast. And bear with me for summer. Now that work has kind of calmed down a little bit, we should be back to a regular recording schedule as we wrap up the rest of season 4 and get into season 5. So super excited for that. Thank you so much. And as always.
Hey man, Miami Wise is #1 new show.